So in 2016, an experiment was done where mice were given a lever with which they could activate their own dopamine neurons, and it was done by using a special optical sensor. And during the experiment, what happened that the researchers they saw uh, a peculiar behavior. They saw that if mice they are left to their own devices, if they are left to their own devices, they spent all their time pressing the lever to activate their dopamine neurons over and over. They stopped eating and drinking to the point where eventually the researchers had to end the experiment because otherwise the mice were going to die. So you can see how lethal this hormone dopamine is. So this, the mice's dopamine obsession had made them to forget their basic need. And this is all to say that animals, including humans, they really like dopamine. And eating sweet food is an easy way to get a hit. Now you may ask me that why the hormones, this dopamine is released in our body when we eat sweet food. So we can held our evolution responsible for that because in stone age what happened that when food was not easy to find and it was an advantage to eat all the fruits before anyone else could. So hence in stone age when our ancestors they found because they the taste of the sweetness it signaled the foods that were both safe because there are no foods that are both sweet and poisonous. So the foods which tasted sweet, they were fun, safe, as well as packed with energy. So at times when, in those times when food was not easy to find. At that time, it was uh, our body when it consumed fruits and sweet, it felt good about it, and this is how we evolved. From there, this dopamine release it started happening in our body after consumption of sweet. But now there is a very interesting thing that nowadays what's happening. If you'll see, so nowadays if you go to a supermarket, you will see that the shelves of the supermarkets are packed with the processed foods. But if you'll see that nature it intended us to consume sugar in a very different way. It intended us to consume sugar along with the fiber because if you'll see that whenever there is sugar in natural form there is fiber also. Take an example of the fruit. Fruit is something uh, where plants add some extra sugar so that the taste of fruit could become irresistible for animals, and this is their mechanism to propagate themselves. Because if and animals will consume fruit, along with the fruit they will consume the seeds which are inside the fruit. And whenever the animals will go from place A to place B, they will and when they will defecate from one place in the journey, then they will do what? They will propagate the seeds. So this was the mechanism. Plants who cannot move, they devised this mechanism to propagate themselves. But what plants did? They added some extra sugar into the fruit. But along with that, they added some fiber to that. If you will see an apple, you will see that seeds are there, but along with that, sweet. The apple is sweet, but along with that, there is pulp. Pulp is what? Fiber. But in supermarkets, in processed food, what they did? They added more sugar to the products and then they stripped the product out of fiber. Why did it this? Because this fiber thing, it is vulnerable, and prone to getting rotten. And if fiber will be there in the product which the supermarkets are intending to sell, then there is very high likelihood that its shelf life will be decreased, which they never want. So this is why nowadays we have sugar. They are taking benefit of our evolution, where we feel the spike of dopamine after consuming sugar, and as we are addicted to it. But what they have done, in order to make profits, they have stripped the products out of the fiber, and that's why we are consuming sugar nowadays in a very wrong way, an absolutely opposite way than how nature wanted us to consume. So this is that's why we should not consume sugary, starchy, processed food. And there is a reason for it, because when you eat sugar, then what happens in your blood or in your body? The glucose level rises. So there is glucose spikes are there in your body. These glucose spikes are not good, because if there is instantaneous rush of energy, then there is lack of energy at one, then there will be immediate fall in energy, and this thing, it tampers with your lifestyle, daily routine, and it adds more problem to the life. So the right way of consuming sugar is consume it with the fiber.